If you've got allergies, there's certain times of year, you already know this, when it's worse than others. It's usually something in the air that's irritating you, whether it's pollen, smoke, pet dander, dust, lawn clippings, whatever. Wouldn't it be nice if you could get a break from all that stuff that's in the air that's irritating you every time you were at home? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about on this episode of In the House. Let's go. In the House is an Any Hour Services podcast geared towards helping homeowners learn more about maintaining and repairing their homes. I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and today I've got Aaron Trapp with April Air here to help us talk about improving the quality of the air in our homes. Aaron, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
And just right off the bat, I saw you go to reach for your water earlier. This is really laid back. If you feel like you need to take a drink, take a drink. It's all good.
All right. Hey.
We want you to stay hydrated. Humidity is an important thing, right?
It is. Appreciate that.
Yeah, but today we're talking about filtration. But for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about April Air.
So April Air is healthy air, basically. We started in 1952 with a humidifier product, and since then we've been expanding on the indoor air quality line with filtration, ventilation, control products, and our newest addition, radon.
Awesome. So April Air focuses on clean air in the home, how to improve it, how to clean it, how to make it healthy in the home.
100%.
That's awesome. Today we're going to be focusing on filtration, and all the air in our house is circulated by the heating and cooling system. And if we want to clean the air in our home, it makes sense that we should be able to leverage that heating and cooling system, right?
Correct.
So I think that most people, when they think about a filter, they think of that rectangular thing down at the furnace that's probably a little too dirty when they go to change it because maybe they waited too long since the last time they changed it. But those filters that are down there at the furnace they're really there to keep out the big stuff, to keep the big, particles from like going into the system and clogging it up and getting them dirty. Is that what you're usually seeing with those basic filters that are in people's houses?
Yeah, I mean, the main components of those filters are to block big particulate, like you said, from entering the HVAC system. What they don't do is do a great job of protecting the humans that live inside the home.
Right. Because, I mean, a filter can do a whole lot more than just keep dirt out of the furnace. I mean, if you've got the right kind and you actually keep it clean and change it when it should, I mean, it can filter out pollen, mold particles, or mold spores, bacteria, pet dander, dust, smoke, smog, viruses, all kinds of things out of the air. But if you want to filter your air at the level where it actually makes a positive impact on the healthiness of the air that you're breathing, you're probably going to need to get either a better filter or have some kind of component that you add to the system that's designed specifically to clean the air. Mm-hmm. So when people are thinking about their filters at their house, what's something that they could do to improve their existing filtration system or their existing filter without necessarily at first going to the expense of like buying another product?
Right. No, that's a good question. There's what we call MERV ratings on all filters. It's a standardization about how filters are rated for their efficiency at catching certain size particulates. So generally, the lower the MERV rating, the less particulate or the bigger particulates that it'll catch. So MERV 1 would catch bigger particulates, let a lot of smaller particulates slide by. You can get up to a MERV 16 rated filter, which is going to be your most all-encompassing filter when it comes to trapping viruses, particulate, anything like that would move through the system.
Right. So the higher the number, the smaller the particle, it's going to stop going through the filter.
Right. Generally, we say like the higher the number, the better it is at capturing smaller particulate.
Now, I've always heard from technicians and things that like even though you can go, I mean, a sheet of cardboard, right, lets zero by, right? But that affects the furnace in a negative way because it doesn't let enough airflow through. Mm-hmm. So if you go with those like really, really high numbers or even like a HEPA filter, does it decrease the performance of your furnace if it's not designed to have that?
It can, depending on the filter type. What a lot of filters do is focus on the surface area. So a lot of the 1-inch filters come with about 3 1/3 square foot of surface area per filter. a lot of the 4-inch media or the bigger media air cleaners have a lot more surface area for the air to flow through and for those, particulates to be captured on the air filter. So you're going to get better filtration. It's going to last longer. And then you're also not going to be choking off the HVAC system because it's going to last a much longer time with that additional square footage of surface area.
Gotcha. So I think a lot of people have like a standard 1-inch filter. And I know when you're at the hardware store, it's the more expensive the filter is, it probably has a higher MERV rating. But if you're not changing the surface area that you're able to filter out, like, do you need to like worry about how high you go with like a 1-inch filter on the MERV rating?
Yes. So HVAC systems can generally withstand a certain amount of air pressure that goes through the system without sacrificing the performance. So without adding more surface area, when you get to those higher MERV ratings, it can become problematic for the system. Again, like kind of the trade-off for like the health inside the home versus the HVAC system longevity.
Right. Because that is something you want to balance. Because like if your furnace dies, 15, at 10 years versus 15 years because you're like choking the thing off, that's not necessarily a great thing. But if you are having your system replaced or you want to improve the filtration, I guess that next step would be if you want to add a component to it and change out, like instead of having the 1-inch filter, maybe you've got a larger 2, 4, or like this bigger media cabinets that filter out. What does Aprilaire do when it comes to improving the filtration if they wanted to upgrade from like a 1-inch filter to something else?
Sure. No, it's a good question. So Aprilaire offers a 4-inch media filter, which we believe is the best solution in the marketplace for not only the occupants inside the home, but also for the HVAC system itself. So what our engineering team did was basically design a filter that competes with the airflow of a 1-inch filter, but provides all the additional benefits of those higher MERV ratings that we talked about. So we offer anything from a MERV 11 up to a MERV 16, which is again going to be kind of the best bang for your buck when it comes to capturing those viruses and small particulates.
Is it a rule of thumb that the thicker the filter is, the better job it does? Or is it just that it does a better job because it has more surface area with that pleat in it?
It's a little bit of both. So there's different materials that are used for the higher MERV rated filters, but a lot of it, I would say, has to do with the surface area as well. So all of the Aprilaire media filters are going to have at least 33 square feet of surface area to capture that particulate that's going through the system.
I hear people talk about, there's different kinds of products out there on the market, right? Does yours have any kind of power going to it, or is it just that filter medium that you put in and pull out?
Yeah, so there is no additional power requirements. It's just a better option for a standard filter. And with that being said, like there are other options, the MERV 11, there's a MERV 13, there's a MERV 13 with carbon, which is great for, I don't know, out here in Utah, you guys get some wildfire smoke, I assume from California, Colorado, a lot of different places, as well as the MERV 16. So you have a lot of flexibility as far as what you can do within those filters and those filter cabinets as well.
Gotcha. With the more the surface area, does it, I guess, how do I put this? Does the filter, does it last longer because of the surface area or because it's doing a better job? Like, I know you can go longer between changing filters when it's those, bigger, thicker filters, but is that just because it's got more surface area to clog up before you need to change it?
Yes. Essentially, like I mentioned, that the standard 1-inch filters come with about that three square feet of surface area. So if you think about it in practical terms, if you spread a can of peanut butter on that 1-inch filter, it's going to cover up more square footage of that 3 square foot filter than it is the 33 square foot filter. So it's going to lead to longer life, but then also it helps airflow get through the filter. So even when you have a lot of particulate accumulating on the filter, you're still going to allow that airflow to pass through and not choke off the HVAC system.
So what kind of situations are what kind of circumstance might somebody be having where they might want to think about, upgrading the filtration in their home to a product like this, where they really need to concentrate on improving the air quality through extra filtration?
Yeah, I mean, I say that every house needs excellent filtration. It's part of protecting your human health. There's what they call PM 2.5, which are really small particulates which get into the air and become more concentrated inside homes. So I say, I guess the cheesy answer is all homes need it. But I would say, if you're a person that's recently installed an HVAC systems, particularly like a high efficiency system, really important to install some type of upgraded filter option to ensure that your investment is being protected as well as your health. So I would say that's probably the number one contributing factor or triggering factor for upgrading these. But then number two, if you're having any type.
Hang on, let me just stop you there. So you're saying one of the most common circumstances where people do upgrade to this is if they're going ahead and they're changing out the whole system.
Yep.
Do you not see as many people going in and upgrading their existing filtration on an existing system?
Generally not. Just because the 4-inch media cabinet, sometimes there's a space consideration for these things, right? So a 1-inch filter, if a system's designed to fit a 1-inch filter in there, a lot of the times going in and switching out kind of the configuration of the system or the ductwork down in the HVAC room, it does require some time and effort associated with that. So a lot of people just choose to do it when they're upgrading the system and then have everything put together all in one nice big package.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Well, I know our technicians that if they go out to a home, if you're somebody and you're interested in, looking at options to improve, the filtration, ductwork can be manipulated if you're just, whether you just got some kind of medical diagnosis, your asthma's flaring up, or you move into a new house and you don't necessarily want to put in a totally new system and you just want to upgrade the filtration. That is an option that's available. And, I'm sure that our technicians would be happy if you're in our service area to come out and talk to you, or any HVAC company would be happy to come out and talk to you about those types of things. But anything else that you feel like people would need to know when it comes to, the filtration of the air in their homes?
No, I think that, there's been a lot of emphasis in the last, particularly 2 years, in filtration, ventilation, and things like that. So there's a lot of new products on the marketplace that have to do with filtration or purification. And I would just urge anybody that's considering doing an upgrade to an existing system or getting a new system altogether, just to make sure that they're doing their research and working with a contractor, certified contractors like yourselves who have the right information and know what products can and cannot be trusted. Well,
part of their research, is probably because they're an avid listener to the show. So
absolutely,
this is part of that. But since you bring that up, with viruses and things and that type of thing being more on people's minds, is a MERV 16, is that the level that they would need to get if they were worried about viruses and sicknesses and things like that, whether it's flus or coronavirus or whatever types of things are? Is that what they need to look at? Is a 16 good enough? Is a 13 good enough? What should they be thinking about?
Yeah, so the MERV 16 would be the recommendation for a homeowner that's concerned with that. Followed closely by the MERV 13s are going to be more of an option for some type of pollens and things like that. I mentioned that we have a MERV 13 with carbon option, which eliminates some odors and VOCs. But really, if they're concerned about viruses, bacteria, that MERV 16 is really going to be what they're looking for.
Gotcha. Well, thanks so much, Aaron, for coming and talking to us about filtration. Mm-hmm. If people want to learn more about April Air, what's the website?
April Air's website, just www.aprilair.com. We have a really great tool on there for finding a professional. If you're looking for anybody that installs indoor air quality products that April Air makes.
Awesome. Well, for those of you who are listening and watching, thanks so much. And make sure that you subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do to make sure you're notified next time we release new episodes of In the House. I've been your host, Mike Wilson. And if you'd like to know more about Any Hour Services, go to anyhourservices.com. Thanks so much. See you next time.